Okay, so I will be doing a video on the Loki series, just as I did with WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But let's be realistic, you guys, the Channel Pup audience, are comprised mostly of Spider-Man fans. You want to know about Spider-Man. You've just seen Loki, and you want to see the effect that's going to have on Spider-Man, right? Because it's going to affect the entirety of the MCU, which very much includes our web-swinging champ. So, this video will contain spoilers for Loki. It will contain theories for Spider-Man No Way Home. So I'm gonna say potential spoiler warning for Spider-Man No Way Home. Only if any of this gets proven to be correct. These are all my very own theories that I've just come up with immediately after watching Loki. So this isn't rumor stuff, but I think that Loki finale was probably the biggest indicator of what could lie ahead in Spider-Man No Way Home. Okay? Okay. So the multiverse exists, it started branching, and there's a big potential multiversal war on the way. And Mobius has completely forgotten who Loki is. Moving over to what we currently know about Spider-Man No Way Home, we know that Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx are reprising their respective roles within the Spider-Verse. Jamie Foxx is back as Electro, and Alfred Molina is back as Dr. Octopus, and Alfred Molina confirmed that this is the same Dr. Octopus from the end of Spider-Man 2. Now, the question I pondered is, would that be a fake out? Would Spider-Man No Way Home fake out on the multiverse once again? However, I think the actual fake out that they're doing is the identity reveal of Peter Parker at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. What I think is going to happen is Spider-Man No Way Home will pick up immediately where Spider-Man Far From Home left off. Matter of fact, I think it will repeat that scene with Mysterio revealing his identity, but everyone will just suddenly forget. And Peter Parker will be like, what the hell is going on here? Another thing that I think could happen is that there'll maybe be a scene where like Spider-Man goes to visit MJ or something, and she's just like, whoa, why is Spider-Man here? And she doesn't know either. And same goes for Ned. And that's gonna be the big crisis, is like, Mysterio just revealed who he is. Why the fuck does no one know? Why do less people even know? So they'll set up that the big obstacle that Spider-Man was facing in Spider-Man No Way Home was going to be the identity reveal, but it turns out there's a much bigger problem at play which concerns the entire multiverse. And obviously, it makes sense now as to where the Spider-Verse would slot into place. So I get the sense that that identity reveal was just a bait and switch, and that it was always meant to be. I get the sense that Marvel Studios have been playing the long game with this story arc. They set up the Spider-Man identity reveal as one big problem facing the universe, but now something far bigger has taken over, and an identity reveal is the least of Peter Parker's worries. Now, on one hand, I can kind of see why that would disappoint some people, because the Peter Parker identity reveal is something that's never been done on film. There's all kinds of potential consequences that could come with that. There's a good story to be told there, and it would be kind of strange to just swap that problem out with another. However, it does make sense within the context that the MCU is now setting up. Now, I know that there's going to be the usual bunch of Spider-Man fans coming in and saying, yeah, but now this Spider-Man trilogy doesn't really make much sense, does it? But it's like, no, this was always part of the MCU. You're not supposed to just view it as a Spider-Man trilogy. These are MCU movies. I'll understand the frustration of if you just wanted a Spider-Man trilogy out of this thing, but that's clearly not what the MCU are doing with this. Put it this way, I was a Spider-Verse skeptic because I thought, you know, they've got other stories to tell right now. But I kind of feel like this takes precedence. There's more exciting things they can do with this than the identity reveal. Or perhaps we'll have that identity reveal as a lasting thing that will get resolved in the final act by this timeline rupture. But I think it's safe to say that people losing their memories on like a big universal scale, as we've seen in Loki, that could easily carry over to Spider-Man. It could be just whatever happened in that immediate moment in time no longer matters. And that's the big thing Spider-Man has to find out. How cool would it be if we saw that identity reveal play out again, and then Spider-Man just has a double what the fuck moment when he sees that no one even remembers what happened in front of their very eyes just 1 second ago. And that's what Spider-Man has to, figure out. And I know I said that the identity reveal was an exciting story because we've never seen Spider-Man tackle something like that on film. But we've never seen Spider-Man tackle something like this on film either, and this is a lot bigger. I mean, okay, tell a lie, we've seen it in kind of Into the Spider-Verse, but it wasn't quite on the scale of this. Like, obviously there was a big universe-ending thing going on, but it was much more simple than this. And that's not downplaying that in any way. That was a standalone story, and it was amazing, and it was perfect. But it's like, even with just like last week's Loki episode as well, when I saw the different actors who were playing different Lokis, I was like, okay, like, I don't think Spider-Man and Loki are really that comparable as characters. One's a more cosmic kind of, space and magic kind of character. The other is much more grounded. But I was like, theoretically, if they wanted to, come up with a good reason for a Spider-Verse, they could do it. It's working with Loki. We had Richard E. Grant as Loki. We had the boastful Loki, the kid Loki, alligator Loki. Like, it worked fine on screen. So I was kind of like, they could do this with Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. I think it would be really awesome if they went a little further with that, but like something I've said in the past is I would be more interested in a Spider-Verse if it would bring in characters like Gwen Stacy and Miles Morales. At this point, though, it makes much more sense for them to all be variations of Peter instead. So it's like, okay, if they are just doing a Parker-centric Spider-Man Spider-Verse, this is the best reason for them to do that. I think that MCU Spider-Verse with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield slots into place now. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It could be that we're getting other Spider-Men, but they're played by different actors. It could be another fake out, and it could be that those actors are so good or such, interesting choices that it makes it worthwhile. I don't know, but the fact that they've got, Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx back leads me to believe that there's more of a possibility of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And again, I do not want to say for definite that they're coming back. Even with all of the potential evidence we've been presented, we haven't got any explicit confirmation that these two are back, only basing on theories and other castings, and just kind of musings about the movie. And yes, it makes sense, yes, it lines up, but we still don't have an official confirmation, and I'm not gonna be a fucking clown that sets their expectations to something that the film isn't gonna be. So these aren't like expectations, they're just theories, but I think now I'm definitely more game for a live-action Spider-Verse with multiple Peter Parkers than I was before, because I can see where it slots into place, I can see where this story would play out, and it makes so much more sense than it would have made before Loki. Like, before Loki, when everyone was talking about it, it's like, where did this come from? But now, no, it makes a whole lot more sense. This is a big multiverse-wide crisis that's happening. So, like, it's gonna be cool to see these other villains coming from other dimensions. It's like an interdimensional war that's supposed to be going on soon. So it's like, yeah, it makes sense for Doc Ock and Electro to come back and start wreaking havoc on what was once considered to be the sacred timeline by the TVA. And I do get the frustration with Spider-Man fans. Like, they want it to be a Spidey-centric film series. And it's not that. Like, Spider-Man Homecoming was a sequel to Civil War, Spider-Man Far From Home was more of a sequel to Endgame, and Spider-Man No Way Home looks to be more of a sequel to Loki. And I get that there are some people that just want to view it as the Spider-Man film series. They want Far From Home to be a sequel to Homecoming. They want No Way Home to be a sequel to Far From Home. But that's just how the MCU rolls, I'm afraid. But I get it. Some people want Spider-Man to be kind of the nexus of Spider-Man's film series, and clearly he's not. He's more just a small player in a bigger universe. You know what's also going to be interesting there's also the rumors that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness would bring in different versions of different familiar MCU characters. And, like, being as, like, that's gonna follow up Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, what's the betting that we might see other MCU heroes that could come from, like, the Amazing Spider-Man universe, or the Raimi universe? I don't know if they'll ever explicitly say that, because I don't know what the rights are with Sony in this situation. But, like, with Sam Raimi directing as well, like, what's the possibility that, like, Doctor Strange maybe runs into, like, another Doctor Strange, and he's the Raimi universe Doctor Strange. He maybe references something that happened in the Raimi movies. I think, with the multiverse going on as it is, there's a chance for them to double down and expand upon those other Spider-Man universes now. Like, the Spider-Verse slots into place perfectly now. So while I don't think we're gonna necessarily get, like, standalone Sam Raimi Spider-Man continuations or Mark Webb ones, like, I think we're going to be getting more context for those universes in the future. But again, that's not an expectation. I think I probably just worded it wrong by saying I think we're gonna... No, I don't mean that. What I mean is, like, I think it's possible that that could happen. Maybe this is how the Fantastic Four will come into the fold. Wouldn't it be mad if we saw, like, the Tim Story version of the Fantastic Four, or maybe the Fant4stick version even, setting up the MCU's own Fantastic Four? But that's what this all boils down to, is looking at all the different possibilities from Loki and saying, wouldn't that be crazy? But, like, I think Spider-Man No Way Home definitely has a roadmap now. I think they're going to deal with the identity reveal in the way that they dealt with Mobius losing his memory of Loki. So for folks that were quite cynical saying, oh, it's just gonna be resolved in Act 1, like the Aunt May thing, like, you might be right about that, but I think it's all part of the bigger picture. So what do you guys think? Comment below and discuss, and as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and in the description below are links to different social media feeds, including my Twitter, and if you also want to support this channel just a little bit further, there's also a link to the Patreon. So you can just, you can just fork out your hard-earned cash to this random guy on the internet. Works fine for these following people in the $10 tier. That is Sirius the Skeptic, Marcus Ward, and Biotin Arts. Thank you so much, you guys. You're great. And as for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.